Hey guys, how's it going? We're back here with Zach Lowe. We were talking about the Parkland school shooting, and I was getting into my thoughts on everything here. So I left off at I do agree with Zach, your position that we do need to arm teachers. You mentioned or an officer at the school. My thing is, if you just have a special firearms officer there, you only have one person who is outside who is an easy target for the person that is trying to commit that crime. So if that person goes down, then there's nobody else there to defend them. And my thing is, if you have multiple teachers at the school who are trained to do their job, that have a firearm ready, if there is this case and if this happens, they are more likely to be able to protect their students than not to. You're going to still have people that are going to get killed, and that's going to happen, but it's a matter of limiting those casualties, and I think if that happened, you would limit those casualties, and I think it'd be an effective way. It just frustrates me that there are so many people out there that think that if you ban guns, that's going to solve the problem. It's such a blanket way of thinking. It's such a simple way of thinking. It's just not going to work. I do understand that in certain other countries like Australia, they've had very minor minor mass shootings ever since they have been more harsh on gun control. However, you got to understand also, population-wise, we have 330 million people here in the United States, and we have an amendment in our Constitution that was literally wrote for stuff like this. So, first off, if you want to amend the Constitution, first off, that takes a lot. Second off, it's not going to happen under the current Congress we have. It's not going to happen. Honestly, I don't even think it'd happen with majority Democrats in there. I don't think it would happen. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. So therefore, you need to, and I don't want it to happen. I want to make that clear. I don't agree with people who want to amend the Constitution. I think that those people make our founding fathers turn over in their graves. But overall, something does need to be done on it. So I think when people say it's a mental health issue, they're right. However, you got to be careful when you say that, because I feel like sometimes that almost throws all people who are mentally ill into one giant bowl, one giant group. And that's not the case, because there's many people I know that have mental illness who are perfectly nice, happy human beings. Yes, people can be thrown off and stuff if they have, depression, bipolar, and all that kind of stuff. Overall, I think that we do need more mental health clinics in this country where people can get taken care of. But at the same time, I think that we also need to understand that these people are more than people who can commit crimes. These people are normal people who can go about their day, and we need to actually treat these people with respect. They're not all people who are horrible people. So that's just my thoughts on it personally. That's everything pretty much encompassed of what I believe when it comes to this issue. So I'll go ahead and let you respond, Zach. Do you have any thoughts at all?
Really, I just want to say what really struck me about the whole thing is they came out and said that this was premeditated, correct?
Correct.
So why is this not labeled a terrorist attack? I think it checks all the boxes. I think we should be labeling it a terrorist attack, and I think no one wants to label it that way, but honestly, that's what it is.
I try not to talk about race. I really don't, because I try to think of us all as individuals, but this is something I have to get to. In this country, we fail to mention any case of when there is a white person who commits a mass murder, which seems to happen a lot in this country, as just a mentally deranged individual. No, they're a terrorist. They're a terrorist, especially if this guy was part of a white supremacist organization. He is a terrorist, period.
I completely agree.
Yeah, we always mention when it comes to a Muslim and don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing that. I think that radical Islam is the worst ideology in the world. However, whenever it comes to these cases that happen in this country, we always talk about that. Oh yeah, look at this damn Muslim. Look at this Islamic people. And then you have idiots. No, I'm not the most anti-Trump dude, but I'm sorry. You have idiots like Trump that go out there and say we need to ban all Muslims from this country until we figure out what's going on. Okay. First off, that's racist. So how do we like it when we hear people who would say, let's ban all white people because of the mass shootings that they're due and that they're capable of violence? How about that? See, if you say that, you're going to get called a SJW and a crazy person, and rightfully so. Rightfully so, period. So that's the thing. People lump people into groups here, and they favor some groups over others. And they need to understand it doesn't matter the race, it doesn't matter the ideology. If you are killing multiple people and you have a premeditated idea to do so, you are a terrorist. Period. And I get so sick of that. The Vegas shooter was a terrorist. This shooter's a terrorist. The Sandy Hook shooter was a terrorist. And we don't call any of them terrorists. And it's a problem.
Even if they don't have a group, like you said that he was may have been part of a white supremacy group, even if they're not even part of a group, even if they're just they sit in their room all day and they don't talk to anyone, they're still terrorists. Even if it's not in the name of anything, you're causing premeditated murders and you're causing terror in our society. That is the definition of a terrorist. 100%.
100% agree with you there, man. Okay, so away from this whole big issue here, because it's so depressing to talk about, it needs to be talked about, but it is so depressing whenever we see stuff like this. I wanted to actually do something I do every week, and we desperately need a story like this right now after everything we talked about. Our good news story of the week. So there is a lot of good things that happen out there in this world, even though our media never covers it. And we need a lot this week. So I've got a story for you guys. So this is the story. A couple who lost everything in a wildfire wins $1 million on the lottery. A Canadian couple who lost everything in a wildfire can now start rebuilding their lives after they won $1 million in the Atlantic lottery. Bill Pendergast, 50, who was visiting his ill father in Newfoundland and Labrador earlier this month and stopped in a convenience store to get his dad a soda. On whim, he purchased a $3 lottery ticket. The next morning, he found out he was a millionaire. The money, the couple said, will be used mostly to help put the pieces back together, including finishing construction on their home, but Pendergast does want one special gift. I've always wanted a Mustang, and I finally will have one, and I'm 100% sure of that. Amen. I love myself a Mustang, too. Unfortunately, I don't have that much money. But no, I think, it's a short story, but we need good news stories like this after we cover things that are so awful, like the Parkland shooting, and we, I wish the media would actually cover, good news stories. Sometimes we never see that. We always see the bad. We don't see the good out of people, and it's a problem. But for what it's worth, there's your guys' good news story of the week. Okay, cool. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and I actually wanted to get back into sports here for a second. So as I was mentioning to you, Zach, I was talking about early on the college basketball scores with everybody. And like I said, people don't want to win.
Seems that
so
way.
I wanted to get your thoughts. So in the standings right now, in the top 25, it's loading for me right now. Sorry, my computer's being slow right now, guys. I guess while we're waiting for that, I'll leave that story last. I'll go ahead and switch to something I actually already have up here. Sorry for that quick shift there. On the Russia investigation, that's been something that's obviously been huge for the past pretty much ever since the election. Today, Robert Mueller announced that 13 Russians basically have been charged for tampering in the elections. And I wanted to get your thoughts. So obviously there's a lot of news that's still developing on this issue right now. I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole Trump-Russia issue in general. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think that Russia did hack our election? And if so, do you think Trump had anything to do with trying to cover it up at all? What are your thoughts on it all? And yeah.
Well, to be completely honest, I don't know a whole lot about it, but when I first look at it is, I guess, what is Russia's motive with wanting Trump to be president? If they did tamper with the election, why would they want to do that? I think that's my main question. And then I guess maybe they wanted to get the USA up in arms and fighting with us because Trump, everyone, it's caused quite a division. But when I first heard about the rumors, I thought, my initial feeling was, what does Russia want to do with us? What do they have to gain? I thought that it was just Democrats, picking up dirt on Trump because of everyone was talking about Benghazi for Hillary and all the crazy stuff that she's done, and they just wanted a little something to say. Oh, but Trump's doing this. Trump's with Russia. And it kind of was just gibberish in my ear until I actually saw this article today. I saw the Fox News update pop up on my phone, and it took me by surprise because I thought I haven't heard about it in a while, and then I saw it, and I was surprised. But yeah, I don't know too much about it other than that, just my initial reaction.
Yeah, I've pretty much said this on the show every week. I haven't seen everything when it comes to these new updates on the Mueller getting these 13 people. I've said it since day one, though. I completely think it's an excuse by the Democrats to try to cover up their loss from the election. They literally ran the worst candidate they possibly could for the Democratic Party, arguably in history. Honestly, and I still think this to today, Bernie would have won. He would have won. I think he totally would have won.
I agree with you there. I agree.
I mean, I wouldn't want him to win, but the thing is, he definitely would have won. And I would rather see him in there than Hillary or Trump, personally. I'm not a fan of him at all, but compared to Trump and Hillary, he is the better of all those evils. I would rather see him in there than either of them personally. That's just me. So the DNC needs to take a hard look at themselves heading into 2020, regardless of what comes out of this Russia investigation, because personally, when it comes to the election aspect, this has nothing to do with it. They need to actually have a message for their base that actually resonates with these young people, millennial voters. Even though I disagree with them, I'm just saying that that's what they need to do if they're actually going to get a W in 2020 against Trump. All right, cool. So outside of that, so I got the rankings up now. Sorry, my computer's slow. So right now, the top 10 teams, this is the AP poll. We have Virginia first, Michigan State second, Villanova third, Xavier fourth, Cincinnati fifth, Purdue sixth, Texas Tech seventh, Ohio State eighth, Gonzaga ninth, and Auburn 10th. And I wanted to ask you, because it's been pretty crazy the last couple of weeks with all the losses that have been happening. What do you see as the one seeds heading into the tournament? If it were to start today, who do you think has the best chance of being those one seeds heading into the tournament?
Well, I do have to agree with you in the sense that nobody wants to win.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at it from a basketball fan, and that's how beautiful college basketball is this year, because everyone's beating everyone. Every team's good. Every team has a lot of talent. And I honestly think it's one of the best college basketball years that we've had in a while, because all the one-and-dones and stuff have really tainted it for the past couple years. And it's nice this year that there is a revolving door at the number one spot. And I think it's kind of cool to see new teams in there battling it out. No one's really dominating. I'm
surprised to see Nevada in there. Honestly.
Yeah, Nevada's incredible. As far as the one seeds go, overall one, I would have had Virginia at number one 3 weeks ago because I'm a Tar Heel fan, so I see Virginia play quite often in the ACC, and I'm in love with the way Virginia basketball is played. They run their stuff, they share the ball. Their defense is incredible. They held I forget who they played the other day, but I think they held them to 19 points in the first half. So I love the way Virginia's played. Tony Bennett is a great coach. So I'd have to say them as an overall number one seed. And then, obviously, Michigan State, Tom Izzo, Miles Bridges playing incredibly well. I would put Michigan State in there. And as the rest is kind of it's you could put Villanova and Jalen Brunson and Jay Wright. That's a great team, but they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. But then again, you have to think a lot of teams are shooting themselves in the foot right now. Honestly, if I think it comes down to conference tournaments, because I think if Texas Tech can win the Big 12 and break that Kansas streak of 15 straight Big 12 titles, is something insane. But if Texas Tech can break that, I think they should be a one seed, and I'll put Villanova in there too. But so those are my 4 1 seeds. But I will say Cincinnati, they did just lose, but I'm very, very high on Cincinnati. I think they're an amazing team. Like Virginia, they play great defense, and I think their best player, Jacob Evans, I think that's his name. Absolute stud. I got a chance to watch him play in person against Lonzo Ball last year during the NCAA tournament. And Cincinnati Bearcats are the real deal. But they again, they just
I have to
lost,
cut
so.
you off again. I'm sorry. My Spreaker's going out. Next part.